Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Lacey, and today me and my co-authors, Dr. Julia Leone and Dr. Janet Barnes-Farrell, will be discussing our research related to the individual and cross-level effects of civility norms and safety climate on safety outcomes. Now, the title of our presentation, I think, is best presented in song. So without a further ado, our presentation is called R.E.S.P.E.CT and what it means for rail safety. Okay, enough of that. Moving on to the background for our present study. So research consistently demonstrates that a positive organizational safety climate, which refers to shared employee perceptions about the relative importance of safe conduct in their occupational behavior, has a positive impact on workplace safety. So, for example, on outcomes like safety performance and work-related injuries. Less is known, however, about other contextual or modifiable workplace variables that might affect this positive relationship between safety climate and safety outcomes. And identifying and exploring these types of variables will not only answer the call to expand existing safety climate theory, but it will also support the development and maintenance of optimally safe work environments. Previous research suggests that civility norms, or general norms for respect in the workplace, may be one such variable that requires additional attention. At the individual level, perceptions of these norms have been shown to relate with various psychological safety facets like management and coworker safety and work safety tension, and individual safety outcomes like unsafe behaviors or injuries. Building on previous research, in our study, we expect that perceived civility norms will act as a contextual moderator of the relationship between perceived safety climate and individual safety outcomes. Given that stronger relationships, though, have been observed between safety climate and individual safety outcomes when safety climate is measured at the group level, the present study is going to add to existing safety climate theory and further examine cross-level effects of civility norms and safety climate when treated as group level variables. So the present study utilizes archival survey data from 2,164 workers from 50 short line and regional railroads across the US. And as I said before, we're doing this to examine if civility norms amplify the positive relationship between safety climate and safety outcomes. And in this study, those safety outcomes are individual safety behaviors and risk avoidance behaviors. So our data were gathered as a part of the Shortline Safety Institute safety culture assessment that was conducted at these railroads. Perceptions of safety climate were measured at the individual level with an 11-item scale that was comprised of two key dimensions: management commitment to safety and coworker safety. Examples of these include managers walk the talk, modeling correct behaviors, especially when resolving apparent conflicts between safety and productivity, or employees in my department care about safety. Perceptions of civility norms were also measured at the individual level and assessed with a 6-item scale. So example items, it might include employees at all levels of the organization treat each other with dignity and respect, or managers monitor for behaviors that can have a negative impact on the work environment and address them properly. So although civility norms and safety climate perceptions were both measured and first tested at the individual level, as you can see, their items were written to reflect the target of participants' perceptions, that being the organizations in which the participants were nested. That said, in later analyses, we aggregated these measures to reflect group-level shared perceptions of safety climate and civility climate and examined their cross-level effects on safety outcomes. And the safety outcomes in our study were individual safety behaviors and risk avoidance behaviors. Individual safety behaviors were measured with a 4-item self-report scale. Example items included, I use all necessary safety equipment provided to do my job, and I ensure the highest level of safety when I carry out my job. Risk avoidance behaviors were also self-reported and measured with a 3-item scale. Items included, I don't have time to follow the safety rules, and I take unnecessary risks in my job. All survey items were scored on a 1 to 5 agree-disagree scale, where 1 equals strongly disagree and 5 equals strongly agree. And higher scores on all of these scales indicated more positive perceptions and behaviors. The internal consistency, or alpha, of these scales ranged from 0.75 to 0.93. All study variables, as I mentioned before, were measured and first tested at the individual level. 2 moderated multiple regression analyses were conducted with the SPSS process macro, using civility norms and safety climate as the independent variables and individual safety and risk avoidance behaviors as the dependent variables. In this study, we observed significant direct effects of safety climate and civility norms on self-reported individual safety behaviors and risk avoidance behaviors. So in other words, higher and more positive safety climate perceptions predicted more positive safety and risk avoidance behaviors, and higher, more positive civility norms perceptions also predicted more positive individual safety and risk avoidance behaviors that you would like to see. For the interactive effects, we found that civility norms perceptions enhanced this positive relationship between safety climate perceptions and individual safety behaviors, but it did not have a significant effect on the relationship between safety climate perceptions and risk avoidance behaviors. As I mentioned before, we next aggregated individual perceptions of safety climate and civility norms to the organization or railroad level and used HLM to examine cross-level effects on individual safety and risk avoidance behaviors. So organizational level safety climate and civility norms both independently and positively predicted individual safety and risk avoidance behaviors. But when it came to their interaction, organization level civility norms and safety climate were not found to interact to affect either of these safety related outcomes. So taken together, our findings indicated that perceived civility norms enhanced the positive relationship between individual level perceptions of safety climate and individual safety behaviors, again, at the individual level, but did not produce cross-level effects when civility and safety climate were treated as climate variables that represent shared organization level perceptions. Now, before concluding that there are no interactive organization level effects, we think it might be important to consider the extent to which safety climate and civility norms might actually be overlapping constructs, because they're both concerned with creating safer workplaces and decreasing and preventing injury, both physical and psychological, to employees. Also, I'll note that the variance we observed between railroads on both civility norms and safety climate was lower than we anticipated, with the ICCs being around 0.10. And although safety climate and civility norms may represent shared climates that reside at the organization level, the strength of these climates in our sample that we drew from might not actually be strong enough to detect cross-level organizational effects on individual behaviors that go beyond the individual effects that we observed. Overall, though, the results of our study bolster and extend previous research and highlight a modifiable workplace variable that can be targeted to amplify the positive effect of safety climate on safety behaviors and to help foster optimally safe work environments. Given the importance of safety and safety climate to the railroad industry in particular, and the positive impact that civility norms have on safety behaviors, it's suggested that creating positive norms for civility should be a critical focus for railroad management and senior leadership going forward. Thank you so much for your time today, and we look forward to our discussion.